Welcome to Motivate to Millions podcast. Today, we're going to be talking about mindset. Some people say success is all about hard work and luck. But what if that's a lie? What if the real secret to breaking barriers and achieving greatness is mastering the one thing most people ignore, their mindset? Today, we're diving into the controversy of why traditional advice keeps you stuck and how reprogramming your thoughts can unleash unstoppable success. Joining us is a certified mindset coach who has helped transform lives globally. Get ready because by the end of this episode, you'll see that the greatest obstacle you've ever faced is the one you've been carrying in your mind. Let's get into it. Today we have our guest, the certified mindset coach, Mr. Colin Thomas. Mr. Colin, could you tell us who you are and what you do?
Yeah, so it's great to be here, Colin Thompson. I am a certified life coach. And Quinn, what if I told you that your mind is your best friend, but also your worst enemy?
Gosh,
What's that mean to you?
I see that. That is so loaded. You can nurture things in a positive way and a negative way. In one way, it can really breed those vices that some of us may have. And then in another way, with discipline, with the right perspective, it really is our best friend.
Right. And that goes into what I do. So I work with individuals and teams to help them reframe from a negative mindset into a positive mindset. And our mindset is really what we tell ourselves throughout the day. If we're a positive person, throughout the day, we're telling ourselves positive things. If we're a negative person and don't believe in ourselves, throughout the day, we're telling ourselves all these beautiful lies about why we can't do and achieve things. So my career now is really helping individuals and teams go from what we call having poor mental fitness to having strong mental fitness.
Absolutely. Love it. As we get into today's episode, we can't go into today's episode without doing one of our traditional favorite things to do, which is our segment called It's Debatable. And I'm really excited. As I looked at this, I was ready to get your perspective on this and just kind of hear your thoughts. So I'll jump right in. With the rise of flexible work and work from home anywhere culture, do you think true work-life balance is achievable, or is it just a modern myth we're all chasing?
Well, I think the whole thing is misleading. And I'll tell you what I mean by that. Work is a large part of our life. So from the onset, us trying to act as if there's separation there does not make sense. And I think that's why people always seem to be chasing work-life balance, because they want to act like there's everything in our life, and then there's this island called work, when that is not the case. Most of us spend so much time at work. Work is a large part of our life. So I think reframing that whole mindset and looking at how can we find balance in our lives overall, not just work-life balance. And I think with the rise of flexible work and work from anywhere culture has made it, in some cases, more challenging to find that balance, because now were doing work in environments where we were just having our personal lives before. For example, if you go back about 10 years, go back 5 years, go pre-COVID, the typical person woke up in the morning, went to their office, and in the office, they were in work mindset because they're primarily doing work. They would leave their office, get into their car, and during that commute home, they would transform from being in a work mindset to being in their personal life or home mindset. Now, due to, as you mentioned, flexible work arrangements and work from anywhere, in their home now is their work environment. Their home now is their personal environment, which makes it more difficult to shift that mindset and be in that mode. So, if anything, I think it's now more difficult to really be able to separate mentally being in that work mindset and being in that, you can say, that home personal life mindset. So, so that chase is going to continue to take place. And people, I think people, well, with my clients, what we do is, what I would ask them is, what does balance mean to you? And we'll stay there for a while and discuss what does balance mean overall. Because, you know, some people love work, love what they do, and they want to lean into it. Some people have no children. Some people have more time to spend at work. So it really depends on what is balance to you. So, what is balance to you?
Balance to me is being able to do what I love what I do, but also create enough space to be healthy at home. Um, I believe my philosophy is that I've seen a lot of people be successful in their work, but be poor at home.
Mm-hmm.
And so I believe that you have to have more of a holistic success where you're just as successful at home as a husband, a father, as you are the company manager or the consultant at work. Um, there there has to be an equal intentionality.
I like that equal intentionality. And, everybody has a different definition of what their balance is. And it's about respecting that their definition and helping them to actually reach that balance. If it's truly is a healthy balance. And what I love about the mindset shifting, when we think about work life balance, which I mentioned is the proper terminology, what I try to help people to stop doing is stop being so scientific and so logical and saying, okay, I want 8 hours in this, I want X hours here. Don't even go by hours. Just go by mindset, because you should be able to maintain a peaceful mindset, whether you're at work, whether you're at home. So it's not necessarily the amount of time you're spending there, it's what's your mindset when you're doing that. If you hate coming home at night, if you hate going to work, then naturally you're going to want to spend less time there. What if you're able to develop the mindset where you're in a positive mindset in all environments? Then it wouldn't where you are wouldn't weigh so much, because regardless of where you are, you're able to maintain that positive, grateful mindset.
That's good. That's good. Where the positive mindset transitions wherever you are versus love it. Yeah, that helps me. Definitely. I deal with sales and sometimes difficult people and customer service. So, sometimes you love what you do, and then there's parts about it that you just really dislike.
Absolutely.
Absolutely. So that was really a really good perspective. This first question, I definitely was very interested because all of us, again, like you said, have a different definition of certain things. And so, being that you are certified, I want to just kind of get a more expertise view of this. And so, our first question is, in your expert opinion, how would you define mindset in a way that resonates with our audience? And what do you believe are the key factors that shape and evolve a person's mindset over time?
Hmm. In my opinion, my experience, Mindset is what we tell ourselves. And
Mm.
what I mean by that is, as we're going through our day, looking to do things. For example, I must have a report finished by 2 o'clock. My mindset is going to say, okay, go ahead and do it. Or it's going to say, you don't want to do the report, wait till later. I'm driving on my way. I'm driving home. My mindset's saying, here we go again. I'm just getting excited. The kids are going to be there. Or my mindset is saying, hey, man, I'm going to see my kids in 10 minutes. Look forward to it. So the mindset is what we tell ourselves, because what we tell ourselves is how we act, is how we think, how we take things in. So if you look at your mindset as being, I would say, one of the key determining factors to success, I want to say to living a good life, whatever, however you define good life, because it's sort of like that self-fulfilling factor. What we think is what we do. What we
Mm.
do is what we are. So I would say the key factors is really being intentional with your mindset, really being intentional and knowing how to recognize when you are in a negative mindset or when you're thinking about things the wrong way. When you doubt you can get a promotion. When you doubt you can lose weight. When you doubt you can do better. When you doubt you can stay calm talking to people. That's when we want to be intentional on taking a step back and reframing where we are and
Mm-hmm.
start telling ourselves the positive things. You can get the promotion. You can talk to your colleagues or your spouses without getting upset, right? We want to make sure that we're being intentional on how we talk to ourselves. Because before we can talk to other people in a calm manner, we must be able to talk to ourselves in a supportive
Mm. The conversations we have with ourselves within our mind, I, that's so key. As you were talking, I literally thought about one of my greatest challenges was I pay for this membership every month, and I drive by the gym more than I go to the gym.
manner.
And so I'm learning how trying to reprogram my mind to be a morning person to get it out of the way. Because if I wait until the evening after work, I begin to create excuses in my mind, and I start telling myself I can't go today.
Yeah, well, Quinn, I'm gonna be tough on you on this one, right?
Okay.
So don't go to the gym tomorrow. Okay. Well, it's on New Year's Eve where I am. Don't go
Right.
to the gym January 1st or 2nd or 3rd because there's going to be a lot of quittings in there, right? They'll be in there. But don't worry, go there 2 weeks from now, it'll be empty again. Because so many people, so many people make these terrible things called resolutions where they're going to change the behavior overnight. As you mentioned, your goal is to go to the gym. Well, your goal is to be in better shape, right? Better physical shape or mental shape. That's the goal. And a way to do that is by going to the gym and exercising. But you just said you must first change and build a new habit of going in the morning when that's not your habit. So
Mm.
already you're putting a barrier in front of that. And you said because you know after work, you're going to tell yourself excuses, right? And not go to the gym. So mindset, right? So you're telling yourself, you mentioned you're telling yourself ahead of time, don't even pack your bag, your gym bag, because you know you're going to find an excuse, as opposed to saying, there's no excuse. I'm going to the gym. I'm going to the gym. There's no excuse. So I would say to you, your why needs to be stronger. The reason you want to go needs to be stronger because maybe it's not that strong yet. Because even now, I go to the gym. I'm in the gym about 25 minutes, which is not long. I'm in. I do my 4 or 5 exercises, and I'm gone. So it's not time consuming. So try to give yourself a little. Don't build new habits to go to the gym. Right? Find a way to do it based on your why.
Mm.
What is
Gotcha.
it? What is your why?
My why is being able to live um, a longer life, but having a greater chance of living a longer life where I am able to be highly mobile even in the older age. Even other part of my why is connected to the men in my family, um, being diagnosed with diabetes, high blood pressure, the traditional things we always hear, and then um, it being saying that it's hereditary. And it's just my belief that it's about maybe what you do as well.
Right. So this isn't a coaching session, so I'm not going to go into it too much. But I do hope that the why becomes powerful enough to pull you, into the gym. You don't want to push yourself. You want to be pulled into the gym. So hopefully, at some point, you'll say, let me stop, throwing some money away, yada, yada, and get into the gym.
Got you. So, like you said, I guess I'm creating a solution, not a resolution, but a solution to get pulled in.
Yeah, and good luck. Good luck.
All right. I'll jump right into our next question, which is in today's fast paced, often overwhelming world, how can individuals cultivate mental toughness and resilience? What practical tools and habits have you found be most effective?
So I have my coach hat on right now, okay?
Okay.
So talk to me about this fast-paced, overwhelming world. I don't understand that. What do you mean?
So fast paced, overwhelming, and let me just speak from a millennial standpoint. We're in, what are we influenced by? Quite naturally, we're influenced by social media because everybody has a phone in their hand over half the day. And so we're thinking about, the get it fast, grind, hustle. How can I be successful? Um, there's so many things that we put on ourselves of you got to get it in this certain amount of time, overnight success. So, how can I be able to get that promotion where we kind of like what we said earlier, where we miss a lot in our lives from that fast paced, go get it mindset to, you know, where's our mental status? When we do have challenges and barriers, how do we be resilient? How can we be resilient in that?
Yeah, okay, so thanks for that definition. And I think that millennials, as their example, this is what they know. For millennials, it's normal. It may feel they may not feel that there's all the avenues for support, but for a lot of millennials, it's normal. It may be fast, but the overwhelming side, I'm not sure because people have been overwhelmed for hundreds, thousands of years, right? So I don't think there's anything new. And I think the limiting belief we give ourselves is saying, man, this is overwhelming. Maybe it's not overwhelming. Maybe it's busy. Maybe it's going fast, but you can handle it, right? You can handle it. You've been handling it, right? So, cause when you say fast paced, I understand that, but overwhelming, I think
I
you're
guess
setting up. Go ahead.
think maybe from overwhelming how I grew up as a kid, seeing how things are versus how things are now from economically, politically, all those things in account, you know, as a millennial, and I guess I can speak as from my perspective that we live almost in this cycle where it's like a rat race and we're trying to get out of just going over up and over the wheel, up and over the wheel. But we have all these external factors that we feel overwhelmed. Well, who's in office or the economy is so bad. These are things that begin to be, I think, overwhelming to our mind. And it almost kind of separates the bridge from success for us.
Mm, mm. Well, yeah, it's a lot. It is a lot. And I think we saw this, I want to say, the first time Trump was elected, because it
Mhm.
was such a polarization and divide. And people really, the mindset changed to where, one day, on Monday, their coworkers and them get along. On Wednesday morning after the election, there's a divide there, right? A stark divide. Um, and I'm surprised people did not learn more from COVID. Because
Mhm.
during COVID, it was the same thing. Oh, it's overwhelming. What are we going to do? Blah, blah, blah. We can't take it. And most people made it through. And I have not seen people use that as a stepping stone. We made it through COVID. We got stronger, yada, yada, yada. We can handle what's coming tomorrow. If anything, that should help things not be so overwhelming because you made it through before, right? And this time around with political, with Trump in office, people are okay. People aren't as devastated as they were years ago. So we are getting stronger. We are being able to handle more things. So I think overwhelmed, and I'm not trying to beat you up here, but overwhelmed would be how you're feeling, right? How you're feeling, or what you're hearing other people say. But I think, I think the way we frame things is so important. It's so important. I remember years ago, NBA Dan Stern, when he was still the commissioner, somebody asked him, well, he asked somebody, "Are you still beating your wife?" And the other person never beat his wife ever, right? So how do you answer that question? Say, no, I'm not beating my wife. I'm not still beating my wife, right? So the whole premise is your wife beat, right? So when you get questions, when people come off and say, oh, life is so tough and this and that, life is challenging. Life is tough, right? But is life tougher now than it was a month ago or 6 months ago or a year ago? Now, in some cases, yes. But typically, we're going through some of the same things we're going through. We just haven't gotten through it. And this is where the mindset comes in because the mindset has to be this too shall pass. The
Mhm.
mindset, and if we know this is going to pass, why not start building up your mental fitness? You ask the question, what practical tools can we use? Well, there's I have a 4-step, and I'll show you here. If you see this, okay, this is my little booklet. 4 steps to build your mental fitness, and it's very very clear. The first step, and I think you mentioned this earlier. The first step is to recognize when you're triggered, right? Earlier, I'm not sure if you said what it was, but you recognize when you're triggered. What's one thing that triggers you?
Micromanagement.
Okay, so when you're being micromanaged, you get triggered, and you're going to have negative emotions, right?
Mhm.
Now, so one, recognize that. Now, say to yourself, step two, visualize a change. So when you get triggered or be micromanaged, typically what's your action? How do you respond to that?
Um, I kind of take a maybe 2, 3 minutes just to kind of debrief, get it all out, the frustrations in my mind,
Okay.
and then I try to jump back in and focus on the task at hand without putting too much energy towards the fact that I don't like micromanage.
The micromanager. Okay. Okay.
Right.
Okay.
Yeah.
So you get frustrated first. So step two is visualize the change. So literally sit there, close your eyes, and think about the next time you're being micromanaged, coming back from that mental break. Meaning not even getting triggered. Right? You can get triggered. You can get triggered for a second, like putting your hand on a hot stove. Right? Take your hand off.
Mhm.
That's a good alarm. So right, visualize yourself being triggered for 1 second or 10 seconds, and then come back down. Don't need that 2 or 3 minutes to go away. Right? Don't let it get. So you can visualize, and it may take some time. Right? You want to
Mhm.
visualize change before you walk into your office. Visualize the change. That's step two. Step three is make the change. So after you recognize what triggers you and visualize 30, 40 times, you visualize a change of mindset. Then test yourself. Put yourself in a situation and make that change. It might not work the first time. Okay. It might not work the first time, but you're more mindful of it. And each time you find yourself in that situation, it'll help you come down. And soon, you'll no longer be triggered. Now, in some cases, you may start with something too heavy, maybe first start with a pet peeve, because a pet peeve is something that's easy to manage, right? You want to build your muscles up over time.
Okay.
So, so, well, step four is adding more weight, right? So you want to
Okay.
move on to something that's bigger. Maybe it's interaction with a colleague or a spouse or something easier. But what I found when I first started doing this, and as I help my clients, a lot of times when we want to change our mindset, we want to start with something too heavy, too heavy. So, day one, you go to the gym. I know you're not going to the gym, but let's say, for example, day one, you go to the gym. Are you going to start with heavy weights?
Sure.
No, no. What are you going to do?
I'm going to find my range of kind of where I need to start first.
Right, right. And over time, you'll increase weight, increase weight, increase weight.
Hmm.
And that builds up your physical fitness. Well, mental fitness is very similar. With mental fitness, you want to start with something that's not so heavy, a lightweight, a pet peeve, the toilet seat being up, the TV being too loud, things like that, right? Something that bothers you, but not for more than 10 minutes. And that's where you want to first practice visualizing the change, making the change. And after you've done that and it no longer triggers you, add weight, move on to something bigger. The challenge is, for whatever reason, when people want to make that shift, they want to start with the heaviest weight in the world. They want to start with their colleagues. They want to start with their spouses. They want to start with something that's been bothering them for years, for years. Smoking, they want to start with something heavy. So the key here is, as you mentioned, two of the habits. Get in the habit of recognizing a trigger, visualizing a change, making a change, and adding weight. But don't start with something heavy. So Quentin, because I can tell you, being micromanaged, that's a heavy one. That's not simple. What is a pet peeve that you would start with, or something smaller that you can help build momentum and success before you try to manage something bigger?
Um, Man, you really got me on that one. Put me on the spot to think of a smaller one. It's funny because now I'm thinking like we always think big weights and not the little ones. And so it really pushes me. Okay, I'll start with a little one. One of my pet peeves is that, with dishes, before we wash them, I like for you to rinse out whatever's in the cup or bowl. If you don't, it trigger it kind of triggers. It's like a pet peeve, like, hey, why you couldn't just rinse it out?
Perfect. So start there. Start with something like that. And in my house, the microwave door being open. For whatever reason, it would drive me crazy seeing the light on in the microwave, wasting money, wasting power, right? I literally started there. And I worked on that to the point where it no longer bothered me. I no longer got mad. I would just go over, close the door, and carry on. So at some point, use that pet peeve, right? And once that pet peeve, but you got to work on it. And once that doesn't bother you anymore, move on to another one. And then in time, when you think you're strong enough, start taking on the heavy ones. Micromanaging, that's a tough one because, you know, that person is going to keep doing it. So it's not like it's going to stop happening.
Yeah, it's been one of my most challenging things yet. So I'm glad you explained that and shared that. Definitely share that with the audience because I'm sure a lot of people are experiencing that. And so I never saw, even until this moment, how heavy that weight is. And I'm just trying to lift it. And the more I try to lift a heavy weight too heavy, I'm getting more frustrated. So really good. That's a good point. Um, this next question is a very interesting is kind of a statement and a question, but Forbes once outlined 7 mindsets of highly successful and happy people, highlighting principles like embracing growth over fixed mindset and fostering an abundance mentality and reframing failure as a stepping stone to success. Reflecting on this list, what would you say are the top 3 strategies for not just sustaining a growth mindset, but elevating it to new levels?
So I think it's a great question. It's a tricky question
Yeah.
because sustaining a growth mindset is enough. Elevating it to a new level is sort of like, as we started talking about, chasing that work-life balance.
Mm-hmm.
And because that growth mindset, the abundance mindset, means that we're typically looking at things as opportunities,
Mm-hmm.
opportunities to grow more, to learn more, to live more. But having to take it to a new level, that's where it gets more that what hamster in the wheel,
Mm-hmm.
trying to always do more, always do more, always do more. So I sort of challenge this because what's the purpose of elevating it to a new level if you already have that positive growth mindset?
Mm. That's a good question. Maybe that is the wrong mindset because we begin to we never give ourselves credit in a sense. Like, hey, it really does work, but we're keep trying to perfect it to the point that we miss the purpose in it.
It's sort of like hyperachievers. And great question. But the reason I'm sort of, debating you on this is because so many times I get clients who have achieved great things, but they feel like they must keep achieving, keep achieving, keep achieving, keep achieving. So, and when they do that, the question is, why? What are you trying to, well, not why, I shouldn't say why. The question is, what's the motivation behind that? In some cases, people feel like, you know what, when I achieve something, people congratulate me, and I need that feeling of success. I want people to see me a certain way, and that's pressure there. Some people want to achieve because they fear failure. They grew up in poverty and they're scared of going back. It's still
Mm.
negative pushing you forward. So the question is, when is enough enough? Because sometimes when you don't know when enough is enough, it's never enough. And you're never really truly happy. So part of that growth mindset, part of that abundance mindset, it means that everything that we're confronted with is an opportunity for betterment. You can do it. The fixed mindset says the limits to what we can achieve. So in that growth mindset, if you see my head, if you're always having growing,
Mhm.
and it doesn't matter, how far you're going because you're always going. So when we say get next level, next level, next level, it puts an undue pressure. I think when I see them with my clients, because when we say my clients can never answer this question, when is enough enough? When is enough enough? And sadly, for a lot of people, it's never enough. And
Mm.
when you when you have that goal that is always going higher and higher and higher, at some point you lose steam because you're never going to be able to get it because it's always growing. So going back to your question about strategies, I think first of all, having that growth mindset, um, working on your limiting beliefs. For example, we heard a few today. One limiting belief was I know after work I'm not going to go to the gym, right? So looking at and understanding that it is a limiting belief. So when people say that, they say, I'm just being honest. I'm just being honest. I know myself. You're already limiting yourself, right? You're
Mm.
already limiting yourself. So how do you reframe that? Reframe that, but mean it. So Quinn, I'll put you on the spot a lot today. So that limiting belief of I know I'm not going to go to the gym. I know I'm after work. How can you reframe that but really mean it?
Mm. I know I need to go to the gym, and I must go to the gym because my why is very significant and importance to me. So I have to go to the gym. I no longer create excuses.
That was good. It wasn't it. It was good. And I'll tell you why it's not it. Because you use these words. I must. I need
Mm.
to. Right. I must. I need to. And that may not be true, right? So when we frame it, and this is so as a coach, I wouldn't do this. I wouldn't tell you this, but um, one way to reframe it may be, well, I still don't have. Well, no, no, no. Let me work on this one. I would say, what would it? Because right now, I, I'm not sure the motivation for you to go is there yet, right? So maybe the refrain is, I'm going to find a way. I'm going to find a way to motivate myself to get to the gym.
Mm. Now, I'm glad you brought that up. There was a time where I would go to the gym after work, even though I said I knew I wouldn't. There was a time I will have these bursts of motivation, maybe you could say. And I think maybe a lot of people have this where they'll have a burst of motivation, like you said, that first 1 week of the new year and everybody's in the gym. And then it just begins to swindle away. And so that's me. I'll go for those evenings after work and then something will happen and then I'll make an excuse not to go.
Yeah, and that is a lot of us. That is, that is a lot of us, and it goes back to the motivation. It goes back to the motivation. Now, I'll give an example. I have high blood pressure. My doctor told me I need to do certain things, which meant I need to go to the gym. I took my butt to the gym, right? Because my doctor said, "Hey, look, if you don't, you can have a stroke, all that kind of stuff." So
Mm-hmm.
it's about the motivation, which goes back to when I reframed it. The reframe wasn't, "I'm going to get to the gym tomorrow." It was, "I'm going to find motivation to go back to the gym," and you might not find it tomorrow. But at some point, you keep telling yourself, "I'm going to find the motivation." At some point, you'll hopefully find the motivation, but you're not creating a situation where you're defeating yourself. If you were to say, "Okay, I'm going to go tomorrow," and tomorrow you don't go, well, you're doing more damage. But if
Mm-hmm.
you say, I'm gonna find my motivation," so now you're looking to get motivated to go, but you're not sort of, you know, putting yourself in a bigger hole each day you don't go. Does that make sense?
Makes sense. I think from the way you're explaining it, I I think from the way you're explaining it, it makes me mentally think about because I sometimes I really think a lot in my head. And so for me, when you say something, I translate it into how I see it. And so I visualize it. And basically, you can't have a house without a foundation. So doing the framework is
Yeah,
more important than trying to see the big picture.
yeah, yeah, yeah. I like what you said that. Doing the framework, because reframing, right, is more
Hmm.
important. And just as people go into the gym on our first day and try to lift heavy weights, a lot of times when we try to make these adjustments, we start too big. We're looking at the big picture, but not looking at the smaller next step. So I like how you reframe that.
Yeah, I got that from my wife. She told me, you you major in the major things so much that you forget to major in the minors.
Mm,
And the minors are sometimes more important than the majors because that's the building blocks
right,
to the majors.
absolutely.
So that was really, really, really good point. Definitely got me looking at how I go to the gym totally different.
Look, don't make me laugh, man. But you know what? That example is very good because it happens to so many of us. If a lot of us, it may be the gym, but the gym is something that everybody can relate to because we know about how we start changing our behavior, and the first few days, few hours, few weeks, we're on it, and slowly over time. So a lot of times, it's not how we start, but it's about how we maintain. And a lot of times that's what people have that challenge.
Wow. Yeah. That, yeah, absolutely. You're spot on, Colin. So I hate to even get to the end of this because there's so much meat in here. So just as the final question, what is the single most impactful piece of advice you would offer someone seeking to excel in their career while also pursuing the entrepreneurial path? How can they successfully navigate these two unique journeys?
So I'm going to give you two answers. One with my coaching hat on, and one coaching hat. With the
Okay.
first one with my coaching hat on, I would really help my client explore more. I would ask them to really share with me, share with me a little bit of what is it about your career and what is it about your entrepreneurial aspirations that motivates you, right? So they can understand, what are my beliefs in both of these? Do I believe I'm going to be a career person? Do I believe that I'm going to be an entrepreneur? And I would ask to help me understand their viewpoint on why these are unique paths, right? Because that sort of means that they're separate paths. What if this was part of you? Meaning, for example, you, Quentin, you are the umbrella, and underneath the umbrella is your 9 to 5, is your podcast, or is your entrepreneurial side. But the unit is you. So they're not much unique paths. They're just you, who you are. Because a lot of times people will say, I want to succeed in my career at, no, I want to be an entrepreneur at the detriment to my career, or vice versa. And that may not be true. I mean, a lot of people may be able to succeed in both. So I would really ask some very um, valid questions to the person to find out what's their belief in each of these, what motivates them. That's what I would do with my coaching hat on. Because as a coach, we don't want to give advice. We
Right.
want to guide our clients. Now, with my coaching hat off, different. I would say in today's climate, first of all, I look at what industry, all that kind of thing, because that doesn't matter before you can give advice. But I would say this: don't let your performance in your 9 to 5 be impacted by your entrepreneurial side. Reason being, they're paying you a salary, and you're getting that salary every 2 weeks, every month, however your pay cycle is. That may also include insurance. That may include benefits, which are going to come as long as you're performing well. Typically, on the entrepreneurial side, it takes time to build. It takes time to build. So the main breadwinner may be your 9 to 5. So protect your 9 to 5.
Mm-hmm.
Protect your 9 to 5 and build your business on the side. And build until your business is bringing in more income or more benefit, more peace, whatever it is, than your 9 to 5. Then you can think about how trying to maybe peel that back or whatnot. But some of the entrepreneurs who I've coached, some of the happiest ones say they love their jobs because it gives them time to build their business. Meaning they get off at 5 o'clock, 5:30 on the dot, and they know for the next X hours they can focus on their business. So sometimes they're not unique paths, but if you can find a way to make them support each other, that's even better. A lot of them, those folks who work those jobs who they may get off at 6, they may get off at 7, that's when they don't know how much time to be able to put into the side hustle, right?
Mm-hmm.
But a lot of times, folks who have those very solid start at this time and at this time, they have more mind space and time to focus on the business. So how can you really, how can you look at these two things as part of who you are and make them work together? And again, don't mess up your 9 to 5.
Gotcha. Makes sense. Makes sense. Also makes sense because as you were talking, my mind just automatically went to most of us. I know for me, my background, growing up with my dad. I did a lot of work with my dad. Some jobs I really didn't like, but I learned some great principles. But the one thing I didn't learn is how to be an entrepreneur.
Mm.
That's just not a common thing. A lot of uh, kids go through their upbringing, learn how to be an entrepreneur, set you up a lemonade stand. Here's the formula. But everybody knows the formula. Hey, apply for the job, be confident, be bold in your interview, go get the job and excel in it.
You
So,
know, go ahead.
oh yeah, you fine. Go ahead.
So okay, if I had to give some solid advice, and you had a good point there. So if you just really don't know how to be an entrepreneur, and sometimes that term intimidates people. Um, Sometimes you can say small business owner, have your side hustle, however you want to term, whatever term you want to use. Find somebody who's doing it and Google them. Look at what they did, how they started, or it's even if you can find somebody in your neighborhood, in your circle, take them out for coffee, not drinks, okay, not drink, right? Take them out for coffee, first time at least. Go out for coffee, and ask them questions. Typically, people who have started their own thing, they want to share. Now, I didn't say people who have made it because people who've started their own thing, they want to share their story. So find somebody who has started a business, somebody who has taken a risk, and ask them, hey, how did you do that? Most of the time, they'll sit down with you and they'll tell you how they did it because they want to make sure you avoid some of the failures that they actually experience. So my advice would be find somebody who's doing it and ask questions.
Awesome. Awesome. Great advice. Both with the hat on and with the hat off. Well, it's been a great conversation, Colin. But before we wrap up, let our audience know where they can connect with you on social media. How can we support your mission and incredible work you're doing with your company?
Yeah, so you should be able to see this on the screen here. Here's my QR code, and I'll also send this to you. If you scan this QR code, your audience will get, let me remove that from the screen now. The audience can download a free version of this mini book for yeah, 4 steps to build mental fitness. This has the 4 steps I outlined. It's a very quick read, probably about 10, 15 pages, but it's really a workbook that you can use each time you're trying to get past a trigger. And again,
Mm,
4 steps: recognize the trigger, visualize the change, make the change, add more weight. So check that out. And again, scan that QR code and you'll be able to get a copy of that. To reach me, they can also go to, let me put this on the screen as well. They can also go to oligye.com. I'm not sure if you can see that. oligye.com or colincthompson.com. Colin C. Thompson is my site for my speaking, and oligye.com is my site for my coaching. And I'll put this in a place, hopefully they can see it a little better. And Quentin, I'm sure you'll have this on the meeting notes.
absolutely. I will. I will. Um, you all heard it. I'm ready to get this book myself. Please go get it. Those 4 steps have helped me tremendously today during our interview and our time. Colin has pushed me, challenged me, and pushed me to beyond my limits to be better. That's the ultimate goal. So as I'm becoming better, we want you to become better and have the right mindset and build the right mindset. So again, thank you, Colin, for being with us today. And make sure you check out that QR code and Colin's website.
Quinn, it's been great being here. And Motivate to Millions, I hope that I've helped your audience and your listeners to really think of one action they can take immediately to reach, I'm going to say, to expand their limits.
Mm, love it. Love it. Again, thank you, Colin. Appreciate it. Motivate to Millions family. Appreciate you being here and listening. I hope you've gained a lot of perspective from this, and we'll be back next week.